Good morning, Manitoba. I'm Larry McIntosh, and I'll be your host for the next hour and every Saturday morning from 8 to 9. Thank you for tuning in. First of all, I want to take a moment to thank our Winnipeg Jets for an outstanding season. At the beginning of the season, most experts didn't expect the Winnipeg Jets to even make the playoffs. Well, they did, and they had a great season. We have some excellent veteran players, lots of younger players with outstanding prospects coming up in the next few years. Shelley and I had the pleasure of going to both playoff games, which was very fortunate we could get tickets. I knew before we went that we were going to be wowed, but the Winnipeg Jets fans were simply outstanding. It was overwhelming to see the arena full of white and hear the "Go Jets Go" chant, and it was unbelievable, the sound in that arena and how positive the fans were. At the end of the last game on Wednesday night, when they were eliminated from the playoffs, the crowd gave the team a standing ovation for what seemed like 10 minutes. This is after we've been eliminated from the playoffs because they realized how far we've come this season. Very classy fans who knew we made strides forward, and the Jets are going to be even better next year. I'm very proud of the Winnipeg Jets and very proud of our fans. Once again, I'm very proud to be a Manitoban. It was quite moving this week. Thanks to all the fans and to the Winnipeg Jets. My guest this morning is Rebecca Linton, Director of Kids and Company. Good morning, Rebecca.
Good morning, Larry.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Fantastic. Although I was a little depressed Wednesday night briefly when the Jets were out, but I'm over it now, and I'm quite excited about the upcoming season.
You know what? They played hard. It was a great season. As you said, nobody really expected them to make it this far, and they did. And they showed a lot of heart. And I myself loved watching how the fans stuck with them. And even at the end, it was really great to watch these games. It
was incredible. Well, I'll tell you, Shelley and I are fortunate enough we get to travel a little bit with business. So we're in Montreal a few weeks before the season ended. And we had people from all over the North America primarily, but Canada, U.S., that were talking about the Jets and how they were happy we got them back and how it was a hard-working team and they hoped they did well in the playoffs. And these are Montreal Canadian fans, Maple Leaf fans, etc. People are rooting for us all over the place, and that's really kind of cool to see.
That was exactly. I completely agreed. It didn't matter who you were talking to. Everybody had their heart in it, and they were really rooting for the team.
So Kids and Company.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about Kids and Company. What is it?
Well, Kids and Company is a corporate childcare. We are now international, but primarily Canadian. We originated in Toronto in the summer of 2002. Victoria Sopik and Jennifer Nashmi co-founded the company. Now, Victoria is a mother of eight. And eight.
That's a childcare in itself.
It is. She has six girls. Or sorry, I got this backwards. She has 6 boys and 2 girls. And then Jennifer has 3 daughters of her own. And, you know, as working moms and businesswomen, they were having a struggle with finding the type of flexible care that they needed. And they thought, well, if they're having the trouble, so is everybody else. So they decided to found Kids and Company with a work and play concept.
Okay. So Kids and Company started in Toronto, is that what you said?
It did, yes.
Okay. And it's international now, so there's lots of locations, I assume.
We have 70 locations in total. 67 of those are across Canada, and currently 3 in the Chicago area, with more opening every month.
So the concept is obviously a daycare, but there's more to it from what I read about it. Maybe just tell us a little bit about it.
Absolutely. So the background to it is connecting your employer with your childcare. So we talk to different employees and we try to incorporate it as a benefit. So the HR department would come in and say, you know, how can Kids and Company help us, and what can we do as a connection?
Mm-hmm.
So Kids and Company sets up a deal, and then it guarantees childcare for their employees. So unfortunately, childcare in Manitoba is really difficult. There's not enough spaces, and there's 2- and 3-year-long waiting list. Well, if you're a member of or employed at one of our member companies, you are guaranteed care within a 6-month period.
Okay.
So you're kind of bypassing that waiting list. As a parent, that's a relief, of course, because you know you have guaranteed space. And as an employer, you're guaranteed to have your employee back on time and ready to do their job. And
that's significant, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Obviously, you want to have some place, and we're going to talk a little bit more in the next segment about the Winnipeg operation and what you do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's about having some place that you can go after the mother or father goes back to work, and that's an incredible relief to have that, right?
It is, and you also want, unfortunately, because the childcare options aren't really there, parents are stuck putting their children in the first spot that becomes available.
Right.
Well, we want to make sure that we're giving them the opportunity for a quality childcare. flexibility that's really important. So most childcares only offer 5 days a week. We have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 day a week, and we even have an emergency care for our clients where if they have another childcare option, but their nanny calls in sick or grandma has a doctor's appointment, they can come in to use us for just an emergency basis on a 1 day.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
So that sounds like a great option, and I didn't realize it actually existed. You're up for the Spirit of Winnipeg awards.
We were right up there with you. It was really great to be in the same category.
So congratulations on being nominated. That was fantastic. But that's where we found out about you. I hadn't actually heard about you before, but you'd be working with the larger corporations or larger companies in town that have large workforces.
That's correct. We have many Winnipeg-only based companies, but then many of our companies are nationwide, so larger corporations. In Manitoba, the Bar Association, the Manitoba Bar Association is our largest Winnipeg client. But then most of the financial institutions are signed in nationwide, so TD Bank, Scotiabank, a lot of your larger, as you said, have many employees that they can service, but we do have smaller options as well. So if you are just Winnipeg based and you don't have as many employees who might need it, but it can still be a benefit, we can always work something out with you.
So all the kids that come there would all be from member companies, for lack of better words?
Primarily. Okay. And across the nation, that's the general consensus. However, in Winnipeg, I do have community spaces. So you're not necessarily knocked out of using my site if you're not employed at one of my corporate companies.
Really?
Absolutely.
So we're going to come back and talk about Winnipeg specifically because I found it interesting what I was reading about. You have a chef and some other things. So
we do.
We're going to talk about that next segment. We'll be right back with Rebecca Linton, Director of Kids and Company, after we take this break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm Larry McIntosh. I hope you've seen Peak of the Market's Sesame Street potato bags featuring 9 different Sesame Street characters. Along with the characters, you'll still see the Peak of the Market logo, so you're guaranteed it is grown right here in Manitoba. We're very pleased to partner with Sesame Street on the Eat Biter program. And the Sesame Street Eat Biter program is all about encouraging children and adults to eat more fruits and vegetables. So it's a great program. When you see your favorite character on one of our potato bags or on any produce, think about eating more veggies and fruits. We're back with Rebecca Linton, Director at Kids and Company. So we were talking last segment about the company, and I didn't realize all those locations across Canada and a little bit in the United States. But let's talk specifically about Winnipeg. So where is it located in Winnipeg?
So we're right downtown at the intersection of Fort and York, 158 Fort Street.
So that's right downtown. So any businesses downtown, that makes a great location.
Absolutely.
Is it tough to drop children off there?
Well,
or
we're really lucky, and it's rare to happen, but in our downtown location, we have parking. So we have drop-off spots for parents.
You're right. That is rare downtown.
So rare downtown. Mm-hmm.
So how long has the location been open?
We opened our doors in June of 2012 here in Winnipeg.
So coming up to 3 years?
We're coming up to our 3-year mark.
Wow. And how many kids can be there?
We can have 91 children.
Okay. And what age group would they be?
We can have children anywhere between 12 weeks and
12 weeks?
Years. Absolutely.
And 12 years. That's a range.
Yes, it is a range. Now, we have infant care, which is 0 to 2. We have preschool care, which is 2 to 5. And school-age care is 6 to 12. Of course, your school-agers are going to be more your before school, after school, March break, summer holidays, professional development days.
Very good.
Absolutely.
So if you're a member company, they can get on the waiting list and be within 6 months. Or if you have an emergency, and I'm sure everybody works, something happens where daycare happens, or a development day where somebody's not going to be in kindergarten or something, you can be a backup for the member companies on that?
Absolutely. Happened this morning. I got a call at 6:15. Family says, what am I going to do? My child's caregiver just called me and she's sick. She has to close for the day. I have to be in court. Bring your child in.
That's a hard one to avoid as far as not being in court, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit of what happens when the kids are there for the day.
The program is wonderful. We run an emergent program, which means that we follow the children's lead and interest. So there are 7 developmental areas that children need in their daily lives: fine motor, gross motor, cognitive, language, creative, sensory, and imaginative play. So every day the children work in all of these areas, and it might be doing creative art activities, individual or as a group. Gross motor is they're running around outside, they're getting their long limbs in use. Their fine motor, stacking blocks, pincer grasps, little things like that. Literacy, lots of reading, lots of stories, books, finger plays, songs. We incorporate infant sign language so that we're teaching baby sign to our young children. We're doing basic French and introductory in the classes. Once the children turn 2, we have proprietary programs. So we do Munch Kinetics, really fun fitness and coordination program that they do twice a day. They do Munch Kinetics twice a day, Alpha Mania weekly. It is a early reading program. If the letter of the week is P, then they're going to talk about pirates and princesses and pumpkins and uppercase and lowercase and all about that letter P. By the end of the week, they know exactly what it is.
Thanks for mentioning pumpkins, by the way.
You're welcome. And then we do Mini Masters, which is an art recognition program. And the fun thing about Mini Masters is I know that I'm not great when it comes to artists, personally, but my 4-year-old walked down the soup aisle at the grocery store the other day and pointed out a can of Campbell's tomato soup. Look, Mom, Andy Warhol.
Oh.
His picture of tomato soup was what they had studied for their Mini Masters.
Okay.
So these kids are really incorporating a lot. We also do Kidco Nutrition. So Kidco Kitchen puts in a month or a weekly program so that the children are talking about their nutrition once a week as well. This month it's their grain products, for example.
So going back to when I was in kindergarten, that's a lot of years ago, I grant you that. But I remember being in kindergarten, it was half days, and you'd lie down and take a nap, and they put a cookie on your back, so when you woke up, you had I don't remember any of this stuff in even kindergarten.
Education has come a long way.
I know it's been a lot of years. I get that. I get that.
It's been long years for me too, but we realize now how important early education is, and that if we can set the foundation with these early years, then children are a lot more successful when they reach school level.
That's a lot of programs that are very detailed from your explanation there for very young kids, right? I mean, you're talking 2 years old, you said?
We do, but do we really give children enough credit? Don't get me wrong. We play during the day. We have a lot of fun, and a lot of what we do looks like they're just playing. And sometimes they don't know the difference, but we know what they're getting and what programs that we're running.
So the advantage of having a company that's national like this, obviously the Winnipeg location, there's programs that are worked out that they can share across all the different centers?
Absolutely. There's a couple different options. So if you're registered, say at our Winnipeg location for the full or part-time care, and your company transfers and you're suddenly in Calgary, well, I can do a transfer for your child to one of our Calgary locations. And because our locations are all set up visually similar, it's easier for your child to adjust to their new center because aesthetically it's the same. The programs are the same. It's just new caregivers that they're getting used to. The emergency backup package that we have, which allows the parents to use the care as needed, it's transferable. You can use it at any location. You could be registered here at Winnipeg, but go on vacation and want to drop your children off for one day so that you can do adult things.
Really?
And you can use it anywhere.
So if I was in Toronto, for instance, and I had a young child and my mom couldn't take care of her or something, you could
absolutely
do an emergency situation.
Absolutely.
That's genius. Are there other companies doing something like this? I've never heard of this before.
That I am aware of, that we are the only company in Canada that does so.
Well, I can understand why you're up to Spirit of Winnipeg Awards, because this is quite innovative.
We try very hard to make sure that we are giving you your work and play balance. And we know that your job is important to you in order to keep your family stable, but your family is the most important. So we want you to be happy with both.
So we're gonna come back and do our recipe segment, but the next half hour we're gonna talk a little bit about you and your backgrounds, see where you're from. I detect a slight accent. We'll see without that in the next half hour. We'll be right back. We've been talking to Rebecca Linton, Director of Kids and Company, and we'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to Food and Friends. I'm Larry McIntosh, and it's time for a recipe segment called Now We're Cooking. You don't need to write this recipe down, as is today's recipe of the day at peakmarket.com and in the Winnipeg Sun. So all the information for this recipe is on our website at peakmarket.com or in today's Winnipeg Free Press. Today's recipe is fresh garden dip. Fresh garden dip. And this recipe sounds very good and simple to make. Let's see what it is. Here's what you need for the recipe. Mayonnaise, carrots finely chopped. Manitoba carrots aren't available right now, but will be soon. Broccoli florets finely chopped. Green onions, finely chopped, dill weed, and garlic pepper. Serve with fresh cut up veggies or crackers. And this recipe serves 10. If you're interested in viewing the full recipe, it is today's Recipe of the Day at peakmarket.com and in the Winnipeg Free Press. You can also have recipes at your fingertips with Peak of the Market's free recipe app with over 4,000 recipes available for your smartphone or iPad. We'll be right back with Rebecca Linton, Director of Kids and Company, after we take this break. Welcome back. I'm Larry McIntosh. It's time to start thinking about fundraising this fall. If you're involved in a school or daycare fundraising in some way, you can now register for the Farm to School Manitoba fundraiser that runs from September to December. This fundraiser is open to all Manitoba schools and licensed daycares anywhere in Manitoba. So Peak of the Market growers will ship it by train, by plane, by truck, wherever you are, we'll get it to you. And basically the fundraiser works like this. The student sells bundles of Manitoba-grown vegetables to raise money for their school or daycare. Bundle A has carrots, cooking onions, and red potatoes and sells for $10. Bundle B has larger packs of carrots, red potatoes, and cooking onions, as well as green cabbage and parsnips, and it sells for $20. Each bundle comes in a reusable shopping bag that's great for grocery shopping. The outstanding thing about this fundraiser is that the school or daycare keeps half the selling price, a 50% profit, which is great for any fundraiser. This is interesting. Last year, this fundraiser raised $411,000 for Manitoba schools and daycares. That's what they kept, $411,000. And if you look over the 4 years of the fundraiser, it's raised over $1.5 million for Manitoba schools and daycares. And it's used for anything from swing sets to band trips to whatever it may be. It's whatever the school or daycare wants. And this fundraiser runs from September until December. And again, it's open to any school or daycare anywhere in the province of Manitoba. If you're interested in getting more information on the Farm to School fundraiser or to register your school or daycare, please visit their website at fundraiser.ca, or we have a link at our website, peakmarket.com. The advantage to registering now is not only knowing that you're going to be doing the fundraiser, but you can also book your delivery date in our online calendar. And delivery dates leading up to Thanksgiving and Christmas do book up quickly, so it's an advantage to go ahead. There's absolutely no upfront money on this. You pay after you've completed your fundraiser, so there's no reason not to register your school or daycare now. We're back with Rebecca Linton, Director at Kids and Company. We're saying off air during the news that your daughter participated in this fundraiser last year.
She did. Very successful. Loved the fundraiser.
Yeah. Did you sell some veggies yourself? Or?
About 40 bags.
40 bags?
40 bags.
That's
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
It was great. You know, we background, my husband had actually just had a heart attack right before, and we were really promoting the eating healthier. And we went to everybody we could, employ my employees or friends or social media, everywhere that we could. And we said, you know what, this really means a lot to us. And we ended up selling 40 bags.
That's fantastic. Your husband okay?
He's doing well now.
I'm glad
you.
to hear that. And it really, selling vegetables, I mean, the disadvantage of this fundraiser is a bit of weight to it. I mean, you're selling bags of vegetables vegetables weigh, right? The advantage is it's about health, right?
Absolutely.
And we teach the kids at your daycare, or they teach the kids in schools about healthy eating, about exercising. Then sometimes we tell them to go sell chocolates, and that's a contradiction.
Absolutely. So I completely agree. The vegetables are a great option.
I don't know if you're the single biggest fundraiser at 40 bags, but you got to be up there.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. I was quite proud. And she's quite the little salesperson. So.
And speaking of healthy living, we were talking in the first half hour. You actually have a chef at the...
We do.
Tell us about
that. Kids and Company has a nutrition program and what we call Kidco Kitchen all the way across the country. So we use the same menus nationwide so that all of our locations are getting the same meals. It's a 4-week rotating menu. We always take in consideration allergies or food restrictions for families. But depending on where you're at across the nation, we either have one large kitchen that then caters to individual locations, or here in Winnipeg, we have a chef on site that prepares the meals fresh right before being served.
So this is something that, again, looked at nutritionally, I assume, nationally, and somebody comes up with a program on a 4-week rotation. But I looked online at some of your menus yesterday morning, I think, and I'd go eat there. They look really good.
Oh, these kids eat a lot better than I eat. Yeah, it's great. Today they had beef barley stew with fresh carrots. There's always a fruit. There's always a milk. We make sure that we're following the food guide, but we can control what is in there because we don't use processed foods. So it's all very natural.
And that's a commitment, having someone on whether it's, in Toronto, you have probably one person for several locations, you were saying, but in Winnipeg, you actually have a person on site cooking for your 91 kids.
Absolutely. We go and we purchase our ingredients. We bring them into the kitchen, and she prepares it from scratch every day.
That's amazing. I also read that you have people that speak several languages at your place.
We do. In Winnipeg's location, we have French, we have Arabic, we have Filipino, we have some African dialects. We have some native dialects. We have quite the diversity.
So what time can kids be dropped off if they were coming to school?
We're open from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. Monday to Friday.
So that seems longer than normal, too. A little more flexibility, right?
It absolutely is. A little bit more flexibility. And we also, we don't have late fees. So you get caught behind in a meeting and you're going to be there at 6:05 instead of 6 o'clock. You're not going to get hit with that extra $20 charge.
So if someone doesn't work for one of the companies as a member, you said you have some spots available as well?
Absolutely. We can work with pretty much anybody.
So if somebody wants to get more information, where would they go?
Well, you can visit any of our social medias. We do have Facebook at facebook.com/kidsandcompany. We're on Twitter at Kidco Childcare. We're on Instagram at Kidco Childcare. We have a LinkedIn page for Kids and Company, or you can call me at the site directly. My site number is 204-504-4289, or visit my email address at Winnipeg at kidsandcompany, it's all spelled out.com.
And you have a website as well, I'm sure.
Absolutely, kidsandcompany.com.
So that's where you get all the information, and you can do a Google search and you can find the information. So there's two ways of doing it. One is if you have an employer that's a member, then they probably know about it. But if not, there are some empty spots, or not empty spots, but available spots.
There are community spaces available.
Community spaces, that's the wording I was looking for. Not what I said, but that's what I was looking for.
We knew what you meant.
We'll be right back with Rebecca Linton, Director of Kids and Company, after we take this break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm Larry McIntosh. Food and Friends Radio is on TV. Each radio show is filmed and will be posted on Mytoba.ca later today. So if you want to see the TV version of this or previous radio shows, please visit Mytoba.ca. You can also listen to an audio podcast of Food and Friends at SoundCloud.com and at the iTunes Store. So please just do a search for Food and Friends with Larry McIntosh at Mytoba.ca or SoundCloud.com or at the iTunes Store, and all the shows will come up for your listening or viewing pleasure. Now, it's very important for me to mention that Food and Friends is only available because of 680 CJOB and its advertisers, so please tune in right here every Saturday morning at 8 or listen live at cjob.com. We're back with Rebecca Linton, Director at Kids and Company. So we were talking earlier about, we're going to talk about you. So are you from Manitoba originally?
I'm not originally from Manitoba, although I will always think of Winnipeg as home now.
Well, that's perfect. So where are you from originally?
Originally, I'm from Kentucky.
Kentucky?
Absolutely.
Well, that's a ways away.
It's quite a ways away.
So how did you end up in Winnipeg?
I went from Kentucky to Toronto, opened up several locations for Kids and Company there, and had to make a decision based on, personal circumstances on whether I was going to stay in Toronto or make a move, and knew that Kids and Company was going to be opening a Winnipeg location, and decided to come.
It was a good move.
It was a great move.
So it was about 3 years ago you moved here?
I've been here, it was 5 years in January
Oh,
now.
okay. So you've been here for a while.
I have.
Fantastic. So is your background in childcare? Or?
It is. I completed my early childhood education diploma at Seneca College in Toronto. I then went on to complete a early childhood education administration certification, and then did a setting up childcare certification for my postgrads.
Oh, wow.
It's all I could imagine doing.
And talking off air during the commercial breaks and the news and that, you have passion for what you do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have personally been with Kids and Company. They opened their doors in the summer of 2002, and I started with them in the fall of 2002. My own children attend the centers. I really believe that the company is invested in its families and its children, that we want to provide the best for them. I feel strongly about the programs that we give, and I feel strongly that we have some really awesome caregivers who not only teach the children, but love and nurture the children during the day.
And you were talking before about some of the programs that you run, to teach them different things and have fun at the same time. I'm quite amazed at all the things that young people can do. I mean, you're talking really 2 years old, you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
That's incredible, including sign language for infants. I can't even imagine that.
Oh, the sign language for infants, they pick it up so quickly. And I mean, it's simple things, but for them to be able to say when they want more, or when they're finished, or when they want a cracker, or being able to say apple, just the simplest of things. It's their first form of communication.
So for you, obviously, you have lots of qualifications. So
Yes.
the other people you work with, your coworkers there, do they need to have some kind of training, or how does this all work?
Absolutely. So Kids and Company is a licensed center. We are licensed under the Manitoba Early Learning and Childcare. So we have to follow all the licenses and regulations of any other childcare. That means that we have a certain number of staff that have to have classification. So 66.67% in childcare have to be trained. What that means is they have at least their early childhood education diploma, which is a 2-year diploma. Some go a step above and get a 3-year diploma. Then there are assistants that work alongside the ECEs, and they have their childcare assistant classification as well. So we make sure that we have the trained staff. Everybody has first aid CPR training. Everybody has criminal record checks, child abuse registry checks. We do professional development training with them on site and off.
Wow.
It's really a clear group of people.
And how many coworkers do you have there?
I currently have 14
Really?
working with me.
So that's a fairly large staff.
It is. It is.
What is the absolute favorite thing about your job?
The kids. The differences day to day, the watching their faces when they learn something new or when they do a fun activity. Earth Day was Wednesday, the 22nd, and we did marble painting with blues and greens. And it looks like the earth when they're done. And watching them just with their amazement of the marble, making the different patterns and stuff. I love watching children learn. I love the hugs. So, the part of my job, I don't always get to sit in the classroom with them because I'm working with parents, but I go into those classrooms every day. So to have them run up to me and give the hugs and just the nurturing and the love, that's my favorite part.
Is it hard when they leave?
Absolutely. We become very attached to them. They become ours.
I got depressed when the Jets made the playoffs. Never mind the kid that you see every day.
Yeah,
That'd be hard.
absolutely. It's difficult when they leave, but believe it or not, several of our children stay in contact with us so that we can see how they do further on.
And that's got to be neat.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful to see how they're doing with their extended life after daycare, as we call it.
What's the part of the job you don't like? Because everybody has a part of the job they don't like.
Of course. There's always that part.
Paperwork.
Well, from my side of it, nobody likes to have to do the reports and the paperwork and the administrative part. So it's not my most favorite part, but there's a reason for everything that we do.
Absolutely.
So, my paperwork keeps the children safe. So it can't be that bad.
Looking at the Spirit of Winnipeg Awards, which were finalists, what we talked about earlier, but the Winnipeg Chamber of Commerce, it says Kids and Company Kidco was founded as a unique and creative alternative to traditional childcare. Kidco is a unique way as it seeks to solve the childcare dilemma by partnering with companies and using those relationships as conduits to reach employees with the goal of delivering highly creative and unique family benefits with a special emphasis on emergency backup childcare. Based on membership, Kidco works directly with companies to develop progressive family options that help address employees' work-life balance.
Absolutely.
That's quite the challenge of. The awards is well written, is what I'm trying to say. That really sums up a lot of what you do in a very interesting way.
They summed up a great deal of information in a short paragraph there.
And it really can't describe everything we've talked about.
They can't, but I would always encourage anyone who is interested to come down and take a look. Visit the center. I love showing parents around, showing potential employers what we could do for their employees. So I would encourage, if you had further questions, just to come down and take a peek.
So if you want to get more information, you can visit their website or come down and take a peek. Call Rebecca Linton, the director of Kids and Company. Say you heard it on Food and Friends, and she'll give you an extra special tour.
Absolutely.
We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to Food and Friends. We're back with Rebecca Linton, director at Kids and Company. So summing it all up, we're in our last segment here. If people are interested in getting more information, they go to the website or give you a call. But what is the organization about, Kids and Company?
It's work and play come together. Kids and Company is about the kids.
Wow,
Yes.
that's succinct. Very good.
Absolutely.
And I'm absolutely fascinated with it. Of course, my daughter's way older than this, but if you have young kids, this is an interesting thing to check out. Or if you're an employer, give her a call and check it out.
Please do.
Thanks, Rebecca, for being on Food and Friends.
Thanks for having me.
Please join me next Saturday again at 8 a.m. for another edition of Food and Friends. We're going to have another interesting guest, but we're not going to announce it till next week. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Take care, and please don't forget to eat your veggies.